Welcome to the Unapologetic Midlife Podcast. I'm your host, Mindi, and I am here today with Dr. Sarah Mathis. She is a holistic medicine provider who works in the wellness space of gut microbiome, gut brain connection. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today, Mindy. Yeah, so I am not only trained as like a DO, which is like kind of like an MD where we see people in like a conventional setting, but I had my own journey, which we'll get into, but I
Yeah.
wanted to go into more of like a holistic space of focusing on healing women at the gut and how it relates to hormones. And this is
Yes.
so connected when it comes to perimenopause and midlife. Like, this is part of the reason why we need to be talking about this.
Yes. 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 And I know I've been on my own journey. I feel like the more information we have in understanding that gut
Mhm.
brain connection, the better. So let's dive in. What took you from being a DO, probably in more of a clinical setting, to private practice and working in women's wellness?
Mhm. Yeah, I love this question. I had my own super long health journey that actually started in childhood, having like my parents got divorced when I was really little, and
Okay.
I didn't know what anxiety was. I was 7, and no one told me like that chronic stomach pains and nausea for like months on end was a sign of like your gut brain connection.
Yeah.
And that's really where it all started. And then just even throughout my teens and 20s, like they just kind of all snowballed on top of each other going through medicine and things like that. So I had chronic bloating, like horrible IBS, couldn't tolerate eating like any foods no matter what diet I tried, fasting, keto, carnivore, AIP, like paleo, all of
Yeah.
those things. And you're like, I cut out more food. Why am I not feeling better?
Right. Right. I made these changes. I'm
Yes.
disciplined. I can do this, and nothing's helping.
Yeah, and then it spiraled into having thyroid issues with Hashimoto's and PCOS, infertility, miscarriages, and then like even though like after I had my third son, I thankfully was able to overcome it with these holistic changes. Like things were not the same after that third baby and like hitting that 30s, like mid 30s is like you're like, why is the weight not coming off as easily as it used to?
Yep.
Why am I more tired? Why am I more crabby? My husband's like really irritating to me. So
You're breathing
these
too
are all
loud. You're
the
chewing too loud. Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
the
like these are
things.
the things where it's like let's address like what is going on because I talk to so many women and realize you're not alone because I
No.
wasn't alone in this journey and I'm like here to advocate because we are so often like going to a regular conventional doctor and being told, "Oh, just go back on birth control. Oh, just like take this antidepressant
Yep.
or just take this like medication for your constipation or your diarrhea or whatever."
Yep.
And it's like, why am I having this in the first place?
Yes. Yes. And that's kind of what your,
Mhm.
doctorate is, right? We're looking at
Yeah.
root cause, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So, like, even a lot of DOs would be trained as an MD and like completely disregard the fact that we have like holistic training and just like throw it out the window. But I personally really leaned into that because it's like we have this wisdom of women doing things for themselves for thousands of years. Like, why have we completely disregarded that and just gone into just popping pills thinking it's okay when there's
yeah.
something more?
Yeah, miracle doesn't come in a bottle, and I think that
Hmm.
that's what a lot of people are looking for. Not all people, because you clearly
Yeah.
were doing the things also, right?
Hmm.
It wasn't leading
Yeah.
you to that result of feeling better. And I don't know if you got like temporary like relief at all,
Hmm.
or maybe for periods. What ended up being what was going on with you? Like obviously all these systems are connected.
Mhm. Yeah, and it turns out, like, I was getting like, the thing is like, a lot of times you'll go and maybe the first step will be you'll get a lot of blood work. You'll get, like, more blood work than you thought was humanly possible to, like, take out. You're like, "Why am I getting these 20 like, vials of blood? I didn't even know I had that much." And you're like, "Okay." I start to get answers like, "My vitamin levels are low," or something like that nature, but then it's diving deeper into the why, and usually that
Mhm.
comes from what's going on in your gut, and the gut is kind of like our main hub for everything. And the
Mhm.
changes start to happen in midlife as we shift our hormones. And women, we go through so many hormone shifts between like puberty and then through just our normal cycles, getting pregnant, postpartum, and then
Oh, yeah.
perimenopause, and then menopausal. That estrogen, progesterone, cortisol shifts are like mind blowing. So that
Mhm.
connects to what we're feeling because our mood is affected by our gut. Like,
Mhm.
our liver health is very important also in midlife as well, so that is something we also need to focus on too. So it's, like, all interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. I just saw, I think it was Dr. Mary Claire Haber just posted some research on the research of hormones connecting to GI issues. And I've been preaching this to like my GI doctor for like a while now. And I feel like he's getting it, but also like, here's the
Mhm,
research now. So now we have like more concrete evidence. They're starting to like connect the dots because aren't they like 30 years behind, first of all, with women's healthcare?
mhm. Yeah, and it's so true. It is
Yeah.
because, like, our thyroid is converted in our gut, like, we need that. We have this beautiful thing called the estrabolone, which actually controls the level of
I never,
estrogen that we're keeping in our body. So,
I've never
like
even heard of that. That's a new
yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, if we're stuck in this stressed out state for like years and years, it like suppresses what's going on with our ability to actually digest food. And then when our stomach acid level gets lower, then all these like creepy, gross bacteria start to grow over, and that affects our estrogen levels. And we use our liver and our gut to kind of get rid of the extra estrogen.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll even see women that will have normal blood work. And then we go and do deeper testing, and they still have signs of high levels of estrogen because it's based on what's going on with their gut. And then that's leaving you feeling like where you have like migraines, headaches, mood changes, anxiety, depression, that weight gain, that pesky weight gain on like your hips, your thighs,
Oh,
your
yeah.
butt. That is your estrogen being stuck in this like raggedy, gross way. It's like the junky stuff. And we have the rise of like breast cancer too, and colon cancer in younger people.
Yeah. And that's all connected to gut. I mean, obviously, there could
Yeah.
be, like, genetic markers of some
Yes.
sort, but, like,
Hmm.
the gut is activating
Hmm.
these things, and I feel like people don't wanna talk about blood work, right? I just made a
Mhm.
post online, like, blood work makes me insane when people are like, "Oh, I went to my doctor and all my blood work looks normal." I'm like, "There's
Mhm.
not a test for perimenopause."
No, there's not. And, like, just because your FSH or your LH, which are a couple of markers that are hormones in your brain that basically say, "Hey, I'm not ovulating as well," that
Yep,
doesn't happen till you're actually, like, in menopause.
yep.
Doesn't show like, perimenopause is 15 years it can be.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I feel like I started noticing things in my 30s,
yes.
definitely after my hysterectomy, because that's the other layer of this too. So I had a partial hysterectomy, but I have the ovaries. But no one thought, wow, this girl needs progesterone. In fact, I was
Mhm,
told at one point, I won't mention who because I feel like there's been shifts, but you don't need this. You don't have a uterus. Oh, I'm sorry. So my estrogen can just be out of whack
yes.
because I don't have a uterus. So I don't need that hormone that my
Mhm.
whole body needs. It's wild.
It is wild. And like our estrogen at 30 starts to gradually decline. By 35, it's already like sharply declining. So that's
Yep.
where those like nighttime panics, like all the time you're not sleeping, and cortisol and progesterone are like they're enemies. They're like frenemies, where like if your progesterone is getting lower, that cortisol is kind of taking over and being like, haha, I'm making you more
Okay.
anxious, getting more of the weight gain. You're like not going to feel chill.
The
And
anxiety, the
yes.
perimenopause anxiety is
Oh, yeah.
wild. Talk
It
about talk
is.
let's talk about that. So,
Yes,
you're saying the cortisol goes up, is that driving that perimenopause anxiety?
absolutely. It's like that as well as the fact that your progesterone's going down and estrogen too. And estrogen, like when we're in our 20s and early 30s, estrogen's kind of like our like mask where if you remember going back to like the first half of your cycle when estrogen's rising, you feel like a glowing goddess where you're like,
Mhm.
I'm so
Yeah.
awesome. I can do everything. I can take over the world. And then like you start to shift where it's not getting made as much in your ovaries, which is normal. So cortisol takes over because then to be I don't want to get like super sciencey for people, but
It's
then
okay, let us have it.
your adrenal glands, which are like right above your kidneys that make cortisol, they also are in charge of producing your estrogen as your ovaries
Oh,
start
okay.
declining.
I did not know
So
that. Okay.
yeah, it's like a teeter totter where it's like estrogen goes down, cortisol goes up, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah. No,
forget
I
me.
feel it. I have days where my anxiety is just so
Yes.
impairing in that, like, I have to, like, do a check, right? A checklist.
Mhm,
Okay, my kids are okay, I'm okay, my fiance's
mhm,
okay, like, I don't have anything going on. Like, what
yeah,
is this gut-wrenching anxiety? Like,
mhm.
what do you do with that? So, like, I guess, do you start with, like, what are your biggest symptoms? I mean, obviously, there's so much to this. What does that look like?
Yeah, so usually what I do when I'm working with someone is we take a look at what are your biggest symptoms, and
Okay.
from there, really kind of layering in what I clinically would think would be going on before we get the lab tests back. Things that we were talking about with like the anxiety, that's probably more of that estrogen, progesterone dominance like thing where you have higher estrogen to your progesterone, because
So you're
that's
not in
another layer.
balance?
Yeah.
Yeah, together, right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And that's
okay.
another, like, layer there's so many different patterns that happen that I wish we had time to, like, talk about it, but, like, even if your estrogen's still in, like, a normal level in perimenopause, if that progesterone's going down, it's still putting you in that, let's call it estrogen dominant
Dominance,
state,
okay, okay.
which makes you feel that anxiety so much more.
Yeah, yeah, that seems to be one of the biggest complaints of, like, clients
Yeah,
that come to me, people I know,
yeah,
myself,
yeah.
included in there, and that's why, I've kinda, like, done a deep dive, and I still don't
Mhm.
understand everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a medical doctor,
Mhm.
but, as as patients probably come to you with, like, "Okay, I'm willing to do whatever you tell me to do.
Mhm.
I'm pretty knowledgeable, but
Yeah.
now I need you to, like, help me put these pieces together and really, like, create this framework for me to get better." What does that look like?
Yeah, so kind of like just a general one that I would be doing for someone when they come to me and say they have this like estrogen dominance progesterone picture, for instance.
Okay.
Like we'll just go with this scenario because there's like a million and a half of them. I would recommend to them first, please eat some breakfast within first waking up, because I see this time and time again. The women who are just chugging down their coffee first thing in the morning,
Yep.
iced coffee too. Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
is iced drinks are messing up your gut because it's basically a constricting and spasming it, making you feel more bloated later in the day. Like
Okay,
in
so more body
yeah.
temperature type, like
Oh,
room
yeah.
temperature? Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
That helps the progesterone level too because your body
Oh,
wants that warmth in the core to, like, keep you warm and feeling like the digestion's moving, because that's another thing too is when you're in that progesterone phase, digestion slows down a lot, so
yes,
you
I
get
know
more
this.
bloated. Yeah. So we
Yeah,
gotta keep things moving in a very gentle way.
okay.
Supporting your blood sugar, like eating every 3 to 4 hours and getting a good protein and fiber, like that is a big thing in perimenopause and midlife, is making sure you are getting that good plant diversity and enough protein. Like I see so many women that eat like 30 grams of protein a day and wonder why they're like craving those
That
snackies.
yeah, that's, like, less than, like, a chicken breast, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
example, like, we weigh stuff to make sure we're getting the right amount of stuff. Super anal about it. I never used to, but my partner, he does, and it does make sense because I was not hitting my protein goals probably
Mhm.
40 years of my life,
Yeah.
at least,
Yeah. I
which is
know, and, like,
crazy.
women were taught it is, and, like, women were told, "Oh, like, that's for men to have steak, like, don't eat that, you should just have, like, your little tiny chicken breast that's,
Your
like, a 3
salad,
pieces on a
yeah,
giant
yeah.
salad," which, again, raw foods are, like yeah, raw foods, like those giant salads, while they're delicious, eating them all the time is going to also affect your gut health too. We
Yeah,
need the warm, like, beautiful, like, cooked foods and especially carbs too. In
okay.
midlife, like, getting more not, like, saying, "Hey, go eat cookies and, like, have
Go
cakes and go
crazy.
crazy," but it's like your body isn't in childbearing, like, needs anymore, so it doesn't need as high of a fat state as it used
Okay,
to. So
okay.
having whole grains, like your brown rice, having sweet potatoes, even regular white potatoes, buckwheat, millet, amaranth, things like that, and cooking them, quinoa, I don't know if I mentioned that, but those
Nope,
are really good. Yeah.
okay. What about, so, like, I'm big on, like, I do, like, a protein shake every day
Mhm.
because I can kinda chug that
Yeah.
down and throw a bunch of good stuff in there. I do put, like, frozen fruits in there, like, is
Mhm.
that now am I absorbing it? Because now I'm thinking
Yep.
about this, like you're saying, the warmer fluids. What are your thoughts on that?
I think what would be a good way to I don't think you should, like, cut them out completely because, for the sake of, like, being able to get fiber in and
Yes, I
nutrients of
throw,
that
like,
yeah,
ground flax
yeah,
seed and chia seed and stuff in
so good.
there. Yep,
Those are
okay.
so good for helping to clear out, like, the extra estrogen, so we need the fiber. Like, we need fiber more than we think to have like, maybe start your day with, like, some warm water or, like, a tea beforehand just to kinda, like, and gently wake up the digestion before you're just, like, shocking it with something cold.
I'll kinda switch it up,
Mhm.
but, like, that's kinda like my midday, but
Yeah,
yes, I have read that, like, get up when
yeah,
you get up in the morning, drink, like, a full glass of, like, room temperature water to kinda
yeah.
wake that gut up. That's is
Mhm.
that correct? Okay.
Yeah, I personally like as long as you don't have like reflux or something going like that, starting your day with like like a hot to warm cup of lemon water with a pinch of salt, that
Okay.
is beautiful for starting digestion
I just
because
saw this in, like, an Amish page, it showed
yeah,
up, and they're like, "This is, like, one of the best things for,
yeah,
like, constipation and
it
stuff," to,
is.
like
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Alright. That's good.
Mhm. Because we need lemons are really wonderful for not only waking up digestion, but our liver too, and that's another thing we can touch on too, because focusing
Yeah.
on liver health in, like, perimenopause midlife is so critical. Like, honestly, that was a huge game changer for me with helping get rid of that stubborn weight, helping regulate my estrogen levels, like, it was amazing.
Yeah. What so, I guess I'm thinking of, like, liver. So, liver is part of cleansing, right? Liver is part
Yeah.
of, like, getting rid of things.
Mhm.
Now, I wanna touch base on this because I feel like we grew up in this generation. I mean, I just turned 48 of, like, drinking and, like,
Yeah.
I cannot
Mm,
drink at all. Once in a while, I'll have, like, a glass of wine, but I
mhm.
cannot drink anymore at this point in
Yeah.
time. What is that? Is this the changes in my body? Like
Yep, it sure is. It's like, honestly, I tell most of my perimenopause clients, like, wine, as much as you like want to go out and have those glasses of wine, they're probably one of the worst things that you can drink. Not only is it because our livers become so much more sensitive with all those hormone changes we talked about before, with like the estrogen and cortisol, even to a degree, does get cleared out by your liver too. But wine is full of sugar, so it's going to mess up your insulin levels. And the sulfites are like an additional like hangover yuckies that happen. So we're just not as efficient at clearing out that toxin as we used to. So wine is, yeah, well, it's delicious. It's not
I
gonna help.
yeah, it's not helping us. I do notice when I'm in Europe, it's a different dynamic,
Hmm.
which I can have that glass with dinner, just nothing
Hmm.
crazy, but if I choose to and, I respond a little differently to it. I know it's still not great for
Hmm.
you, but there's less crap in it.
Yes. Hmm. There sure is.
The amount of crap in our food, I mean, that's another whole I feel like a
Oh, yeah.
podcast is just like our nutrition. Even if you're buying like whole fruits and vegetables and stuff, are they the quality that we need? Like, what are your thoughts on supplements?
Yeah, that's another really good question too, because like, well, even between like supplements and then like also the fact in America too, we are exposed to so many toxins between like what's going on with our food packaging, like all the plastics there.
Everything's
Like,
in plastic. Yes. It's
yes,
impossible to
that
avoid.
I know. So like that's another reason too why like in midlife we have to be on top of our liver health for like just our basics, like trying to not use plastic water bottles or reusable like plastic
Mhm.
Tupperware. And as far as supplements, like don't go crazy with supplements because honestly, if your gut is not in a good state and you're chronically bloated or you have like you're always running to the bathroom or you're constipated, there's a chance you're not even absorbing that and you're just kind of wasting your money.
Passing it through. Yeah. I mean, I know supplements are not regulated too.
Yeah.
That's another thing,
Mhm.
especially in the US and the fillers. I mean, I've seen the
Mhm.
reviews on some of these things. So I guess how do you get the gut healthy, right? So if we're going back to the gut
Yeah.
being unhealthy, leaky gut, that's like something that I
Mhm.
deal with. I know a lot of people deal with that. Where do we start with this?
Yeah, so ideally, if you have the means, if you can get testing done, that would be
Okay.
a good place to start because you can play around buying a 10 million supplements and you're basically throwing spaghetti at the wall because you're like, I have no idea what is going on in my body. And I tried doing that for years too, thinking like I could just do food sensitivity testing. It's not actually the food's fault. It's there's some sort of underlying bacteria that's causing your gut lining to be like ripped up and really inflamed.
Okay.
And then the food is just a byproduct because everyone's like, these are the foods I'm always eating. Why am I reacting? It's because you're always eating it that your body's reacting.
Okay. So I'm somebody I can be like creature of habit. I can eat the same
Yes.
thing like every
Yeah.
single day, but you're saying don't do that. So
I mean, you can to a degree. It's just
Okay.
I'm saying, like, there's this thing called food sensitivity testing where people will, like they'll be like, "Oh my gosh," because like, for instance, I got this done years ago before
I
I
had
knew
this done
about, like
too. Yep.
yeah, bacteria like, before I actually did, like, a gut microbiome test, and it lit up because I would eat a smoothie of, like, bananas and spinach, like, every single day. So, of course,
Okay.
those things lit up, and honestly, it just makes you scared of food and want to restrict more, and I was scared of eating bananas for, like, 10 years because I was afraid it was gonna mess my gut up, and,
Yep.
like,
Yep.
that's the stress, that you're putting on your body from being fearful of something is going to honestly,
Yeah.
going back to
Yes.
that gut-brain connection,
Oh,
make it
yeah.
worse. Um so with that, I have a system where I like to get rid of the inflammation first. So
Okay.
starting with like a lower inflammatory sort of diet, eating more of like the plant foods we were talking about before, like fibers and getting enough protein, getting healthy carbs that we talked about, and
Yep.
kind of just relaxing the gut that way. And then
Okay.
from there, also supporting this. I'm sure I don't know if you've talked about it on here, your vagus nerve, like, and
Yes. I
yeah,
haven't talked about it necessarily specifically,
yeah,
but with clients, I'm
yeah.
always reviewing vagus nerve.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is so important because, like, that nerve gets your body out of that fight or flight and helps your digestion so much more. So, working to strengthen that because in women, especially like most of us that are anxious and have all these things going on, we're in a state of fight or flight and chronic stress for so long that that's another thing that's affecting our digestion even before we start like figuring out what's going on with the microbiome. So by
Yeah.
strengthening that nerve allows digestion to start happening so much smoother and allows things to move through.
Yeah.
That's a big
It
one.
it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like,
Mhm.
so many doctors outside of like the scope of like how you do things, it's like, oh, this is this, or let's just slap you on this medication. Like,
Mhm.
the more I learn about the gut, the more I know that it literally is your second brain. And
It
they
is.
used to think of the brain as like the master control center of the body, but it's really the gut,
It
correct?
Yes, absolutely. What is it, like 70 to 90% of your serotonin receptors are made in the gut? There's, like, so much of it that it's, like, insane, and the one test that I like doing called Tiny Health Test, it's so I love the name, it's so cute, like, how
It is
adorable is that?
the fun one to remember. Yeah.
It looks at specifically a couple of strains of how much GABA are you making and the breakdown of it too, which is so important for your mood because GABA is one of your neurotransmitters
Mhm.
and that affects like how you deal with people versus like having giant mood swings all the
Which is
time.
really interesting because do most people have testing? I've never had testing for that done.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Hmm.
I did read something about how some people can be, because we go down like the peptide
Hmm.
version of things, which we could touch on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're into that or anything, but it's interesting. But women tend to be like, in my experience with clients, more sensitive to a lot of medications and stuff.
Yes.
Doesn't the GABA receptor too, isn't that also part of why?
Yes, it is. It's like it's part of that as well as the fact that we have such large hormone fluctuations too. I actually read recently, which completely makes so much sense. And I'm like, why did I never even think about this? That in your with progesterone, if you have the part of your cycle where you have the high progesterone, you tend to store those traumatic events more deeply into your body.
Okay.
And then I know you do a lot of like somatic work. So
Yep.
that's where that happens so much because we have these constant fluctuations versus a man that has like a 24.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I know like there's, again, kind of going back to the blood work with the hormones, like, yes, we
Mhm.
want to kind of get an idea of where you're at,
Mhm.
but it's not the whole picture,
No.
right? So if a client comes to you and they're like, I had testing done for my hormones, that's not it. Everything is normal.
Mhm.
How do you approach that?
That's honestly, that happens all the time, and people are, like, so nervous because 'cause they're like, "They're not gonna find anything wrong," and I'm like, "No, we just haven't dug deep enough, and we usually find something wrong," and it lights up like a Christmas tree, especially on gut testing because 'cause I'm like, honestly, looking at what's going on in the gut, it's like kind of a cult with how creepy it like points to all of your symptoms. And it like
My
really,
God.
there's a reason why, like the bacterial overgrowths from like if you have the estrogen overload, if you have something with the GABA, if there's something going on with like how well you actually digest certain fibers or proteins or fats, like it's all there and it all connects.
Yeah, so it's gonna tell you maybe what fiber people should be on, because some people are
Mhm.
like, "Oh, if I get too much fiber, I get bloated." But I
Mhm.
know it's also like fiber, 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 though. You need
Yeah.
fiber in your gut
Yeah.
because constipation is something I know, like, I
Mhm.
deal with. It might be TMI for
Yeah.
people, but women of our age group are gonna
Yeah.
understand what that looks like.
And that's where it's like a combination of the gut microbiome changes and those liver changes that are happening. Because liver it doesn't just help with like detoxification, it also helps with our bile flow. And that helps with digesting fats and actually moving things through our gut. And that's where like that warm lemon water in the morning is so beautiful for people, especially like
Yeah.
women 30 and above, because it kind of covers all of those bases and gently moves things through. Because yeah, we have grown up with like juice fasts and
Oh
cleanses, and it's
god,
like,
yeah.
you don't need to do that. It's like, when I say working on detox pathways, I mean, we're literally just like helping your body do what it's supposed to do, not any quick, crazy fixes. It's like getting your body back to what it's supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally gonna try the lemon water.
Yeah.
That is fantastic and so simple. I actually have to get
Hmm.
some lemons for something I'm making for dinner this weekend,
Yeah.
so I'm totally gonna
Perfect.
start that. So literally a cup of water,
Yep.
warm, maybe heat it up a little bit,
Hmm.
lemon, and nothing else.
I do if
You a
you're
pinch of
just
salt?
starting, yeah, I do a pinch of like a
Okay.
mineral salt, because one of my favorite phrases from med school that I'll never forget and I love telling people is water follows salt. And what that means is adding that pinch of salt, just a little pinch, because I know a lot of people go crazy with electrolytes now too, but like having just that little bit of like a good quality sea salt, Himalayan pink salt, Baja Gold, something of that nature, not just like a table salt.
But isn't iodine important in that too? Like, I did find out I had low iodine and my
Yeah.
thyroid was, like, in the toilet.
Yeah, that's another picture too, is like having low iodine is important, but getting it more from like other food sources besides table salt is probably a better bet for you. Things like shrimp, seaweeds, things of that
Okay.
nature. Because you don't want to go too crazy, because a lot of women have undiagnosed Hashimoto's. And if you start doing like iodine protocols with people, I'm like, that I
I
had low
don't have
iodine.
that. I was checked.
Yeah,
I don't have that, and now my thyroid's back in range because my
that's good.
iodine is back in range,
Yeah.
but, like, it was super low.
Yeah, that happened to me. I had low iodine. They put me on iodine supplements and it like threw my whole body out of whack. So like that's where you need to be just like doing food
Careful.
sources of it. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So
Um
sushi, I'm thinking seaweeds in there, like,
yep.
yeah, seaweed salads. You said seafood. Seafood has iodine too?
Yeah, specifically shrimp is really good. So if you
Okay,
do like a not tempura, but like a shrimp roll where it's just plain shrimp and the seaweed, that would be super good.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And some
Yeah,
miso soup on the side.
miso, okay, yep, yeah, I love a good sushi roll. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So good.
So what else? What else do we tie into this? So and I guess like time frame too. So I know people are coming to you, they're in distress.
Mhm.
This stuff takes time, right? This isn't like overnight.
Mhm. Yeah, it does take time. I say, like, just from those basic things that we talked about earlier, like getting the inflammation down, working on the vagus nerve, like supporting your detox pathways, even before we get the labs back, because usually the labs take around like 3 or 4 weeks, usually you'll start feeling better just from those changes, because we're
Okay.
being very
Wow.
gentle and kind on the body. So you're like, wow, I'm actually like slowing down, paying attention. And
Mhm.
another thing I forgot to mention with progesterone before, too, is like actually listening to your body and slowing down and doing more self care. And I don't mean like going for massages all the
Yep.
time. It can literally be like, just sitting down and like journaling or meditating, reading, going for a walk outside, because
Love that.
do
Yes.
not underestimate with this weather, especially, like, do not underestimate the power of a sunrise or a sunset walk.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
good for your mental health and progesterone.
Yeah. And getting out into the sunshine, right?
Yes.
Like, I stood outside for a little bit just to, like, get the sun, like, on my
Mhm.
face, and I know I made, like, a little post yesterday about the sun, like, "Hey, Western New Yorkers,
Mhm.
you have to take advantage of it when it's out
Yes.
there." Just that lunchtime, if you have lunch, go
Mhm.
sit in your car, like, get that
Mhm.
sunshine because it does so much good for our body. Look how
Yes.
everything's starting to bloom and grow.
Exactly.
We are part of nature too, and we respond to that.
Yes, absolutely. We completely I think sometimes we kind of forget that we actually are part of nature and we're not these people meant to be in like a concrete structure for like 8 to 10 hours a day staring at a computer screen.
Yep.
So that is so important. And then once we get the basics down too, that's where looking at what is going on in your gut in a further way and doing specified tailored supplements, because I don't love doing a ton of supplements. It's more of
Okay.
like, what do you need? So we're not just like peeing them out, but
Okay.
also focusing on foods, because there's specific foods for different bacterial strains and patterns that are really going to support you. Like we talked about the lemon water before for your liver health. Like there's a ton more things to look up for liver health and for like certain bacteria and things of that nature. So we
So
do
like
that.
SIBO overgrowth is like what I
Yeah.
hear a lot
Yeah.
for women. And is this common in midlife?
It's absolutely common in midlife because of all the changes happening with the hormones, where digestion just naturally starts to slow down, even as we get older. And it's not really like the tipping point with our stomach acid until we're in like our late 60s, early 70s. So that's
Okay.
another fun thing to look at and look forward to. But
I
like
already
as we
take
get
my HCl. Like I do things to take a
Yes,
little extra for
absolutely.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing is like our stomach acid just kind of keeps decreasing and decreasing. So if you are stressed out for a long period of time, like you're not going to be absorbing nutrients. And another part that's important with our gut health too is like our vitamin D is absorbed through our gut, like our iron levels. If you have chronically low iron or ferritin levels, vitamin B12, a lot of our B vitamins are like based on what's going on with the good bacteria in your gut, because they kind of break it down and make them for you.
Do you touch base on, or do you test for, I'm gonna say it, the motherfucker gene, right? The
Yeah.
MTHFR?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I have personally 2 copies of it, so, like, I am
Oh,
already
wow.
coming
You're
from a
very
place.
familiar. Yep.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why a lot of women come to me, because 'cause they're like, "Hi, you're a bad detoxer, I'm a bad detoxer, let's, like" you know what's going on. So, that's where it's, like, so important to make sure that we're working through that, and I basically assume even if someone doesn't wanna do testing, that they have that gene, and we're just gonna treat in that way, because it's
It's not gonna
just
hurt you if you don't
no,
have it, but if you
no.
have it, obviously there's different detox pathways and
Mhm.
absorption pathways, right? Because
Yes.
isn't that a I know there's multiple variations of
Mhm.
it, but so let's talk about what that is. Because people,
Mhm.
I feel like when I say that to people, sometimes they look at me like I have 2 heads, and I'm like, "Let me give you the acronym." They pronounce it we call it the motherfucker gene because it's fun, but,
It
like,
is fun.
what does this mean? What is that gene?
Yeah, so it's basically it's a little genetic like variation that people have that essentially takes it's mostly important with like converting vitamin B12 and folate into the active form in your body. And it's a
Okay.
term called methylation.
Okay.
So that's basically adding this little tiny methyl group to it to say, "Hey, you're active. Now go give me energy and be free in my body." Which is why it's so important in our energy levels, our detox pathways. And I often see it a lot in women that have had multiple miscarriages and infertility, because
Mhm.
it can lead to the fact that you're not getting enough vitamin B12 and folate, which you need for like development of an embryo. So it can lead
Yeah.
to issues that way.
Are there
So,
other symptoms, like, of lack of folate besides pregnancy,
mhm.
infertility, and B12? What would those be?
It'd probably be a lot of like fatigue, brain fog. You might feel kind of like just like that yucky like myalgias all the time, where you just kind of like feel run down constantly. You might not recover as well from illnesses because your immune system does take a little bit of a hit, which is another thing that is in the gut. Like the gut has so much that it's like in charge of. Like we could be talking about this all day. So we're trying to sum this up in like an hour.
Yeah, yeah, we're just dropping
Yeah.
niblets of
Yes.
we're just touching base, right? The tip of the iceberg. But I think it's important because I think that people need to know that there are providers like yourself who are very well versed in this. Like clearly you know a lot about all this. And people, women specifically, need to have access
Hmm.
to doctors like yourself because you're looking at the whole picture. This isn't just, like, oh, we're hitting the ankle now, got to go see a
Hmm.
different doctor. Like you're looking at the whole body. Like I don't know many doctors that are talking about the vagus nerve. I love it. Because I tell my clients, like, stress will literally kill you. Either you
Hmm.
find ways now to take care of yourself or your body will make time for you. It made
Yes.
time for me when I didn't take care of myself. And guess
Hmm.
what? I have to do things so differently now than I did then. And I think I'm still trying to like recoup from all those years
Hmm.
ago of not taking care of myself.
Yeah, and the body is you're so right because, like, the body's so smart, like, it gives you warning bells, and if you choose to not listen, that
I
is when
didn't
you are
listen.
flat on your ass and you have some autoimmune disease or you are becoming very,
And
very
cancer,
ill.
cancer
Yes.
twice. I just think,
Yes.
I was out drinking every weekend, like,
Mhm.
not sleeping, working 3 jobs,
Yep.
like, I was learning burning the candle on every end
Oh,
possible.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like that happened I think that was, like, a big thing for me too, because like, a
Well,
lot
yeah,
of
you
this
went through
came
medical school.
yeah, that's when a lot of it came to the head was in medical school, and then I was like, "Well, this is like a warning bell." I was running marathons, I was so, like it
Oh
was
my
so
god.
stupid. I was
You were
like
pushing yourself
yeah,
on every well,
yeah.
when you're under 30, I also feel like you feel like you're indestructible.
Mhm.
I kinda prided myself, and I'm almost embarrassed to
Yeah.
admit this out loud now, but, oh, we have no cancer in my family anywhere, and then
Mhm.
I, ended up with cancer twice, and then I found
Yeah.
out at 40 that the dad who raised me
Mhm.
wasn't my biological dad, and I had this whole history of cancer,
Oh my gosh.
so I am predisposed, I have some markers for, like, stomach and
Mhm.
lung, like, stomach especially, like, I think about this and
Yeah.
exactly what we're talking about. I don't want that inflammation to
Mhm.
trigger the issues, and this isn't meant to scare people, I think it's
No.
I talk about this in awareness that
Mm,
something environmentally triggers something in our body, and we all
yes.
have genetic components for some sort of
Mhm.
cancer or something, but what's going to trigger it?
Yes, that's absolutely true, and I tell that to people a lot of the time too. It's like, what is your toxic bucket level? Because some people, there's some little old ladies that could like smoke and drink and like live
Yes,
their life eating like Cheetos and Diet Coke for the rest of their life, but they're
and they
fine
live to be
because they're
100.
yeah, because 'cause they're not stressed, they, like, don't let things get to them, they sleep fine, like, things like that, but that's where, like, I don't want people to get, like, especially with that MTHFR gene, to not get, like, super anxious about it because the stress will kill you because
It
that
will.
toxic bucket, like, there's usually some sort of, like, trigger, like, just because you have the genetic components for I tell this to people all the time, doesn't mean it's gonna turn on.
Yep.
So, doing all the things like having diverse, beautiful plants in your diet that, like, are rich in antioxidants, those are gonna help you, like, the fiber is gonna help you, the good protein's gonna help you, like, supporting your detox pathways, inflammation, stress support, like,
Mhm.
getting enough sleep, like, these all are together. The vagus nerve, like, all of this comes together, which is what I do when I work with someone, which is looking at you as a whole person.
Yeah. I mean, I get down to the basics, like, if we're talking about stress management, breathing. People
Mhm.
underestimate breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Most of us I know I'm one of these people, I my clients don't always see me doing this, the ones I do this with know, but I'm belly breathing, like, I'm using my diaphragm, and I'm really trying
Mhm.
to do that, like, deep diaphragmatic breathing as I'm sitting here, just
Mhm.
to make sure I'm not just engaging the chest, but I gotta engage the gut,
You do.
and it sounds so simple, but we're not doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so simple, and, like, the walks are so simple too because 'cause they're
Love
good
it,
for, like,
yes.
lymphatics and your blood sugar levels, and another thing I love doing too that I don't know if you tell your clients is, like, lymphatic somatic shaking where you literally just, like, get up and start
I want a
bouncing
shake
around.
plate. I want a shake
Yep.
plate. I don't
Yeah.
have one, but yes, bouncing, so, like, jumping,
Mhm.
doing something where you're when you're
Yeah.
in your workout, put that music
Mhm.
on, jump around
Mhm.
in your space, but yes, lymphatic drainage, so that stagnant I had a
Like
hysterectomy and all my pelvic lymph nodes are gone, and that's where my bloating also is, which is a blast. So, jumping would
mm.
help with that. Think of how many women you know have a hysterectomy, probably a ton.
Mhm. Yeah, so many. My aunt has one and she like it's like the same thing. That's another thing that plays a role too is like supporting those lymphatic things and honestly doing the like where you're jumping and kind of like shaking out that energy, that is good for anxious moments too. If you're ever
Mhm.
feeling like you can't get out for a walk because walks are so good for calming the nervous
Yes.
system also,
Yes.
just literally put on your favorite song for like 2 or 3 minutes and just like shake it out, dance and have
Mhm.
fun because that's
Mhm.
another thing we kind of forget to do is we need to come back to like that fun inner child and
Yes.
having that joy again and bringing that back to us and setting boundaries like because I feel like that's the
Yes.
beautiful thing about midlife is we're kind of like I'm not going to follow the rules that everyone has set for me anymore.
Yep.
So you
Yep,
give
I'm done.
0 flying Fs, and that's where people are like, "Wow, you're different now." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm different because I'm not gonna answer yes to you all the time."
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. And there's always gonna be people, I think, we as women, society, familiar, like, family
mhm.
patterns, we're
Oh, yeah.
told to we're the nurturers, we're supposed to take care
Mhm.
of everybody. It's literally is in our DNA, the phenomenon of mom hearing baby cry and then
Mhm.
lactating. There's
Yeah.
like something with energy there. But I feel like as we get older, we have to protect that energy and the boundaries of
Mhm.
checking in with yourself. It's
Yeah.
that simple. Do I
Mhm.
have the capacity for this? It's okay to not have to make an answer or give an answer right in that moment.
Yeah.
It might be, "Can I let you know in a day or 2? I'm not really sure
Mhm.
about my schedule," or, "I'll get back to you on this." Like, you
Yes.
don't have to give an immediate response. We are a society where we're accessible all the time,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean you have to be accessible.
Absolutely. That's so, so true. And that kind of goes back to that gut brain connection too. Like you feel that in your gut if you're like, I don't really
Mhm.
like that feeling, like you feel that like ick in your body, or if you're like nervous or you feel suspicious, it's like your gut kind of already knows what you should be doing. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
again going into pushing through, and that's where illness happens. So
Yeah, it's a lot. It's so much. I feel like it's so easy when you start to finally do it and choose yourself and choose
yeah.
your self-care over everybody else. And I'm not saying to not be there for your kids and not do the things,
Hmm.
but maybe I'm only seeing my friends now out of the house, like, more minimally, right? Like, it's not that I'm not seeing them and not making plans,
Yeah.
but maybe it's not every week, right? I think about that, like, invisible mental load. That invisible mental load ends up having that physical load as well. Like,
Hmm.
it creates other problems.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I know we talked about the whole process of everything that I do, which might sound overwhelming for people, but like I'm a mom of three. Like I get it. I
you're
know
busy.
women do not have time. And these get put into a protocol that is so easy for you. Yeah. So, like, with that, it's like doing things in a simple way and like setting yourself up. I have the gut era protocol, which is this amazing 12-week program of like resetting your gut and doing all the things we talked about. And it focuses on hormones too. And also, like, if you have skin issues, because a lot of times we didn't even get into that, like, if you have
Yep.
chronic acne, eczema, rosacea, like, that all comes from the gut too, where people might be like, I don't have any stomach issues. But, like, if your face is flaring and you have all these weird rashes, like, that is also a gut symptom too.
Yeah.
But it's really a very, like, easy step-by-step plan that I spent because it's based off of the hundreds of women I've worked with, and we all have a similar pattern to follow.
Okay.
And through doing this, that's where I found the best success for women.
Okay.
And it gives you the long-term gut health, and say you have constipation or, "Oh my gosh, I had to go on antibiotics," or, "I got food poisoning." There's a bonus guide for that too, to help
Okay.
get your gut back on track because life happens.
Right, 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 the
So
viruses hit, which do impact your gut, like, there's all kinds of
yeah,
stuff, yes, okay. So you
yeah.
have some things in place outside of the 12-week program,
Mm,
because everything's not gonna flow perfectly all the time.
no. No, and then from that also, if we want to work deeper together and get testing done and have, like, one-on-one support, I do have a membership as well too, where I work closely with women to get the testing done. We meet and have regular check-ins and visits, and you have access to me, so that way you get that support and care that you
Good,
deserve.
good. So this is when you talk about this 12-week program, is that still one-on-one with you as part of that program? What is that?
No, this one is kind of a standalone for people that just, like,
Okay,
either because I get it. It's we're in a recession, like, some people just can't afford functional medicine care, and
yes.
I wish it was more widely accessible, but I know it's just not financially feasible for people, so that
Yes.
way you can upgrade if you wanted to get support, but at this time, that one's kind of I give
Wait,
you everything. It's, like, 300 pages, which I know sounds crazy, but, like, it's in a very easy way. It has recipes for every week, shopping
okay.
lists. Yeah.
Perfect. So you're like giving this all to them in almost like a self-paced study
Mhm.
guide, recipes, like way to like make these changes, which honestly, I'm not saying the one-on-ones with you aren't fantastic. I have no doubt that they are. But like you said, you're trying to create tiers of
Mhm.
accessibility. So like if this
Mhm.
program is more affordable for
Yeah.
somebody who might not be able to afford the one-on-ones, they can still get access to your program.
Mhm.
It's just going to look a little bit different. Okay. Which is great.
Yeah,
I think people need
absolutely.
to know.
Mhm. Yeah, I wanted to create something that made it so it was more accessible for people because, like, I know everyone's in a different stage of life. So that way, especially I love working with, like, mothers because going back to, like, what you were talking about earlier about, like, moms we are here to set those changes. Like, we
Mhm.
are taking care of ourselves, but we're also showing and setting an example for our next generation so they know to better take care of themselves and hopefully have more of a beautiful plant diversity and eat foods that people would think were weird, like liver or sardines, like my kids are, but
Okay, okay, I
you don't
can't
have
say
to
that
get
mine are
there.
eating that, and I'm probably not eating it either. I know it's good for you though, and it's super rich in, like,
Yeah.
iron, and there's a
Hmm.
bunch of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we eat differently now.
Hmm.
Guess it's also trial and error, trying these things, and,
Hmm.
you're saying recipes, there's multiple
Yeah.
in there of options for people to try. So I guess
Hmm.
it's stepping outside your comfort zone a little bit and being willing to try something that's different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great too because even if there's a, like, say you're a picky eater or there's something where you're like, "Oh, I don't really like that." As your gut changes, your tastes will change too
Oh,
because
okay.
basically changing your gut changes, like, because it's changing your mood, it's changing how you feel in your body. Like, you basically become a new person when you change your gut microbiome, and it's for the better. So,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
why
I
I'm
kind
like
of
so passionate about it.
yeah, no, it's I mean, it makes sense. I feel that way, like, with working out and, like, starting to strengthen my body differently than I did my whole life. It starts to become this whole body
Mhm.
wellness. I don't know, where you get used to feeling better by doing these things, and you don't want something to impact that if you have a choice and you have options to stay with it. So your program's not meant to be like a long-term thing. It's meant to be more short-term. Here are the things. Let's find out what's going on. Here are the
Mhm.
things and implement them.
Yeah, and then it gives you at the end, like towards the last couple of weeks, I believe weeks 11 and 12, it's like how to set yourself up for long-term success too.
Okay.
So that way, like, if say something does happen, you have a way to come back to it if things get out of track. It gives you like so many tools for that because the point is you're taking this time and effort to heal yourself and spend all this time that my hope is that you have some of these wonderful habits that are now in place for yourself and you don't need to worry about doing all of the things. You can just kind of live your life and have fun and have freedom. So you can, like, summer's going to be coming up soon. So you can go to a barbecue and like enjoy yourself. Go to and have a be in a swimsuit and feel confident, like
Mhm.
not be covering yourself up when you're in the pool and being able to like eat that three bean salad that Aunt Sue makes that you love and not have to worry about bloating.
Yep.
So
I mean, is it
that's my
is
goal.
it like, let's stay on track all the time, or like you're saying, like 90-10, like 90% of the time staying on track, doing the things to
Yeah.
keep your gut in check, but, maybe 10% of the time, like you're saying, you are having that bean salad or something that's a little bit different outside of
Mhm.
the window.
Yeah. So, like, once you would complete working on as intensely as you do during that 12 weeks, you should have more of that flexibility because your gut lining is going to be much more healed and in a much better place that
Mhm.
you can tolerate those occasional salads. You can tolerate having like an iced latte once in a while and
Okay.
not feel like your body's like jiving, going crazy.
From
But
that one
yes,
time.
absolutely. Having that. Mhm. Yeah, don't make it a habit but you
Yep.
can still, like, if you decide, "Hey, this birthday cake is something my mom makes for me once a year and I absolutely love it." Like, you have that space to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I'm glad that you touched base on that, because I think that's a question a lot of people have. Like, can I never have this? Like, cuz that word never to me, like, I don't want to hear I can never
Yeah,
have it. That's
no.
why I say I don't ever not drink. I rarely drink. Once in a while, yes, I will, and
Yeah.
I will have something.
Mhm.
But I feel like it should be a choice, and I feel like too when you get better, you're not obviously craving the sugar because now your gut's more in balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like you will know if something feels like it's worth it. And that's where it's like listening to that inner intuition of
Mhm.
you and yourself and your boundaries too
Yep.
is like, yes, I actually am making an active choice to have this, not just being like, oh, someone just put this in front of me. I don't really want to eat it, but I'm going to do it to be polite and then feel sick afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can think of situations where it's like, "Oh, here, I made this dessert. You have to
Hmm.
have this," right? Yeah. It's fantastic that you do this. I know there's so much more that we could definitely dive into, which means we're just gonna have to have you back again.
Yay.
What would be the best way for people to get a hold of you? And I'll obviously link all of your social media, if somebody's interested in one of these programs that you offer.
Yeah, I have my website. It's sarahmathisdo.com. That's my website. So it has both the gut era protocol and my membership as well. And if you want to follow me on social media, I'm mostly active on Instagram.
I can't wait to share this episode and we will be in touch. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Unapologetic Midlife Podcast. The Unapologetic Midlife Podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical and mental health or professional advice. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapeutic relationship with Mindi LaBazzetta, LMHC. Always consult with a qualified healthcare or mental health professional regarding your individual needs. If you are experiencing a crisis, call 911 or dial or text 988 for the suicide hotline. Hope to see you soon. And as always, like and share. Don't be afraid to review us and share us with a friend.